What's up guys, my name is Sam, welcome back to another video here for another episode of my F1 2021 mod career mode. Today is time for round 7 at the Austrian Grand Prix. If you guys haven't watched the previous episode, it was the French Grand Prix at Le Castellet. I highly recommend to go check it out. It was a banger of a race with rain coming to play in the early stages, spoiler alert. And when it comes to the strategy, it was absolute bonkers. But today we're going to focus at the Austrian Grand Prix. We're going to have just one race for this career mode. If you don't know, we're going to have one double head I should say, out to Austria once again because the Turkish Grand Prix was cancelled. But hopefully we're going to have a positive result. Lewis Hamilton is going to start way down the order. This can mean big things. It can be a great day for Max Verstappen and Valtteri Bottas, especially. Bottas at the moment finds himself in fifth place, but we're going to start this Grand Prix in a very solid P7. Strategy wise, we're going to start on the softs and then switch to the mediums. It's going to be a pretty straightforward one stop. There's no point doing the two stop around Austria. But before jumping into the race, we're going to take a look at the qualifying highlights. And in Q1, being a little bit held up by one of the AlphaTauris, opened the DRS. I decided to do one more lap because the first one wasn't that good. It was just to make a double show. But anyway, in Q2, we're being held up once again by another AlphaTauri and going super wide through the last corner. I think we lost a bit of time, so that track extending didn't pay any dividends, and we went second fastest. And there you go, the confirmation that Lewis Hamilton was out in Q2, P11. He tried to qualify on the medium comparative tires. Verstappen could do that, but the Brit couldn't. But on the right side, you're going to have the free choice of tire to start this race. But anyway, now we're going to Q3. This was my best lap, the second lap. At the moment we find in P6, so I'm going to let you guys have a watch to my best lap, and then I'm going to hand over to Miles to get a grid rundown.
So let's take a look at what the grid will look like for today's Austrian Grand Prix. It's Valtteri Bottas who took pole position yesterday, followed by Max Verstappen who will start alongside him. Lando Norris will start in third position, followed by Sergio Perez. Then we will have Daniel Ricciardo, Sebastian Vettel, Charles Leclerc, Fernando Alonso, Carlos Sainz, Esteban Ocon, Lewis Hamilton only starting 11th, followed by Yuki Tsunoda, Pierre Gasly, Lance Stroll, Mick Schumacher, Nikita Mazepin, Kimi Raikkonen, George Russell, Antonio Giovinazzi and Nicolas Latifi will start last in this Grand Prix here today.
Thank you very much, Miles, and welcome guys to the Austrian Grand Prix, starting in P6. I said P7 earlier in the episode, so apologies for that, but 5 red lights for round 7. Valtteri Bottas starting in pole position, and it's lights out, and we have a great start already alongside Daniel Ricciardo. And maybe we can take a look up the inside of Max Verstappen, starting on the mediums. Down inside we go of the Dutchman, and we are up into 4th place. Valtteri Bottas leads the way, followed by Lando Norris, which at the moment puts his McLaren up into 2nd place. So brilliant start by the Brit. But we find ourselves very close to the podium. But down inside goes Max Verstappen, trying to regain the position, but we maintain 4th place, and it's going to be really hard, let's be honest, in these first few laps on those medium comparative tires. But as the laps go by, Verstappen is going to start to get faster and faster, and it's going to be really hard to keep Verstappen behind. We'll see what we're going to happen in these next few laps. Now I think we are capable to catch Sergio Perez and maybe overtake Lando Norris. So maybe I'm seeing for the time being a potential 2nd place. Bottas is going to get away with this one. You can see that he's definitely visually, he already broke the DRS window of Lando Norris. So this is a very important day for Valtteri Bottas, because first he at the moment finds himself in 5th place after a lot of bad luck and bad results, and this is really important if he wants to get any chance to challenge his teammate Lewis Hamilton in the championship, because at the moment Hamilton finds himself outside of the point, starting in P11. Let's see in a few moments time where he finds, but Sergio Perez really slow out of the first corner, and I had to check if I had damage, and my run was so poor that Verstappen is going to have another go. So I want to say by conspiracy that maybe the Red Bulls are working together in this one, but down inside for the second time. Lucky Verstappen goes down inside, and this time he's going to get the position when we are demoted into the final top 5 paying position. But you can see that Perez being a little bit dirty, very slow out of the first corner. Verstappen is going slow. I'm going to try to go around the outside. It's going to be really hard through turn 4, and Verstappen gets a decent traction on that Red Bull, and there's nothing that I can do in this green Aston Martin, and we are down into 5th place. And behind us we have Daniel Ricciardo. You can see briefly Lewis Hamilton behind one of the Alpines. I want to say that it's Fernando Alonso. Ocon at the moment finds himself outside of the points, which is really good for us because we are in a very close battle with the Alpine. But they have it, your race leader for time being, Valtteri Bottas, trying to stretch that gap as much as he can because he has a McLaren behind, so he has a very good chance to get maybe a pit stop lead over 2nd place, which would be heavens for the Finn. But you can see Hamilton behind Charles Leclerc, and Fernando Alonso is going to be really hard because everyone is stuck in each other's DRS, but sooner rather than later Hamilton is going to press that party mode and he's going to get rid, hopefully, of Fernando Alonso. But going purple on the first second, we've been super strong over the course of this weekend, and you can see that Norris is starting to form a little train, and Perez doesn't seem to get a way to go to pass Norris, and Verstappen doesn't seem as well because he's on the medium comparative tires. I'm getting ton of understeer through the 2nd sector. I've been struggling a lot through the 2nd sector, just want to rectify that, so we'll lose a little bit of time to the eye, but in compensation we are very strong on the 1st sector. We can see that we're getting closer and closer to Verstappen. I'll be stuck in behind him for some laps, and I'm kind of tired of it, so we're going to dive down inside through the turn 3 once again, going side by side with Verstappen. So brilliant stuff, and that's us once again back into 4th place, and we've gone purple on the 1st sector. I think I already said that, but anyway, moving on. I want to see if I want to overtake Sergio Perez and Lando Norris, because this can be another podium for us. The race win is out of the cards unless there is a miracle of a race like Bottas having an engine fail. But down inside goes Lewis Hamilton on Fernando Alonso. Finally, 2 legends going side by side, and Alonso using all of his experience, all of his wisdom to remain ahead of Lewis Hamilton around the outside. Brilliant stuff by the Spaniard, which at the moment is in the final points paying position. Alonso doing everything on his power to score a single point on that Alpine. You love to see this, is so good for the sport. And down inside we go out the other Red Bull, Sergio Perez. This is going to be a little bit tricky. We step a little bit into the curb, which can really unsettle the car, but fortunately, most importantly, we are up onto the podium places on the final step of the podium, and ahead of us we have the McLaren of Lando Norris in a very lofty P2. He's being a heaven of a race at the moment for the Brit, but on lap 10 I decided I'm going to pit 2 laps early because my tires are starting to fade away a little bit, I'm not gonna lie. So we're going to do plus 2 extra laps on the medium comparative tires. So hopefully we're not going to lose any time with the black markers. We're not going to be in last place, so maybe we have to deal with the likes of the Williams, the Alfa Romeos and the Haas's. But there you go, we're going to dress a brand new set of medium tires and we're going to cross the line hopefully in those. There's no point doing the 2-stop, especially in the 50% race around this track, and we find ourselves for the time being in P15. But hopefully this can mean a virtual P2 if we manage to overtake Lando Norris, and ahead of us we have Kimi Räikkönen and Mick Schumacher. But now this is Lewis Hamilton once again. He's going to have another chance on Fernando Alonso's slipstream. He's going to try this time to go around the outside. Who's going to be the biggest winner? Very close margins between the 2 all-time legends once again. But finally Hamilton gets through, and you can see that behind Fernando Alonso is Lance Stroll. So Lance Stroll at the moment finds himself outside of the points. He's been struggling a lot so far this season as we go down inside of our old teammate at Ferrari, Kimi Räikkönen, stuck on that very slow Alfa Romeo, and P14 is ours. And now the next victim is going to be Mick Schumacher. Hopefully he's not going to get in the way. This is very awkward. Come on, Mick. We are very good friends on the paddock. Please don't hold me up that much. A slipstream, so that actually is not going to be that bad. We're going to have a nice DRS, a nice slipstream, and that is going to help us in our quest to jump Lando Norris, as Valtteri Bottas already exited the pits. He has the fastest lap at the moment and needs to clear both AlphaTauris, but there you have it, our teammate Lance Stroll. And you can see that he has some front wing damage, and unfortunately this is not going to be ideal for our teammate, which will be forced to change the front wing. So absolute disaster. You're going to have a hard time if you want to score points in this race. That is really unfortunate, unless we have a safety car. Maybe now, because Carlos Sainz once again out of of a race. Carlos Sainz doesn't get any luck in this mod career mode. So far this season, he has 2 points. This man cannot get any luck. So in this career mode, I can't even talk. That is so unfortunate for Carlos Sainz. He was on the point, and now this is Lewis Hamilton going running outside of Sergio Perez. So Perez really struggling at the moment in the latest stages of the first stint. As you can see the yellow flags being spawned, that's because of Carlos Sainz, but unfortunately no safety car is going to be deployed whatsoever. Thankfully he's not going to be deployed, because that would mean for sure that Norris and the 2 Red Bulls would maybe be ahead of me at the end of the pit stop. But now we are ahead of Lando Norris. Confirmation, you can see on the minimap that he still has to deal with Kimi Raikkonen and Mick Schumacher, and this is Valtteri Bottas trying to manage the traffic as quickly as he can. Run outside he goes of Yuki Tsunoda, and Tsunoda doesn't have any chance on those old soft comparative tires. Tsunoda was looking pretty good in the early stages of this career mode, but now he's been struggling a lot to score points on that AlphaTauri, quite similar to real life, let's be honest. And now he has to clear now Pierre Gasly, which is looking pretty good in this career mode. And in the real life, we've seen kind of realistic things here so far in this mod career mode. Run outside Bottas goes of Gasly, and a very easy move, so he's not losing that much time with these guys, which is ideal for Bottas. And finishing lap 15, and Hamilton and Sergio Perez are pulling into the pits, and they're going to fit the medium to comparative tires. So we are in the same boat. Bottas on the other hand is on the harder comparative tires, so Mercedes think that is more safe to carry Bottas to the finish line with a wide stripe tire, which is a very interesting strategy call, because you can carry the mediums to the checkered flag without any issue. The only thing is that you need to be really smooth, really calm with the drive. You don't need to go aggressive, and Bottas doesn't need to go aggressive, because this is going to be an easy win. Hamilton is still a few seconds up the road, and Verstappen is now pulling into the pits. So now this is going to be really interesting to see, because we are on lap 17, and it's going to be interesting to see what strategy Verstappen will pull through. But this is Lewis Hamilton now clearing the McLarens, so sooner rather than later we might be under pressure unless these McLarens give a hard time to the world champion, as he's going side by side with Daniel Ricciardo. Daniel Ricciardo going at it and trying to regain the position, trying to take a look around that side, but Hamilton parks on the middle of the track very awkwardly. And here's in next with his compatriot Lando Norris. Running outside, he goes through the first corner, and that is an easy move from the Brit, and he is up into P4. As the 2 McLarens, I think, are going side by side. Yes, they are. Not anymore, because Ricciardo gets through, and he might get a chance on Lewis Hamilton. Look at Ricciardo go, trying to go round outside. This is amazing stuff, and he's going to have enough traction to remain side by side with the Mercedes. He's going to have the DRS. This is amazing stuff. Ricciardo finally showing some pace in this mod career mode. Run outside he goes through turn 4, but at the end of the day Hamilton gets the better traction on that Mercedes, and he's up into 4th place. But great stuff between Mercedes and McLaren going at it. It's so good to see McLaren in these places after what they suffered with the fiasco from Honda. But anyway, this is Verstappen pulling into the pits. The clips are a little bit all over the place in this part of the race, so apologies for that. And you can see that is fitting the softer comparative tires. Very interesting. We're going to be ahead, as we said, the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, but that is going to be scrapped away because Verstappen is on a Red Bull and he's on a soft comparative tires, and this is going to be really important because he might win this race, but maybe it will depend if he gets ahead of Lewis Hamilton. They are going side by side and Verstappen gets through. This is so important. You don't have the idea how important this is for Red Bull, because first they are racing at home at Austria at a Red Bull ring, and there is one less hurdle that Verstappen has to manage because he's ahead of Lewis Hamilton. And look how close down Verstappen is on lap 23. He has a very good chance to win this race because Bottas is in first place. However, he's on the harder comparative tire, which is the complete opposite of the softs, and there goes Verstappen. There's nothing that I can do to remain ahead of the Red Bull, and Verstappen gets up into second place. So this is going to be a great day for Red Bull because they are performing this strategy to absolute perfection. However, they might suffer. It will depend on Verstappen's tire management, because if he's not careful with those set of boots, he's going to suffer a lot in the later stages of the Grand Prix, and he might lose the race to Valtteri Bottas. But now this is Hamilton a few laps after. I was saying before, I don't know why, and Hamilton gets through and gets up into third place, but I'm going to try to get this position because we're going to have the DRS available, slipstream on the Mercedes, going side by side once again with Hamilton in this mod career mode. This is amazing as we do the old switcheroo and to switch to the inside line into turn 3. Great stuff between me and Hamilton. 13 World Championships going at it in this race, and I don't know how much longer I'm going to keep Hamilton behind because I don't want to damage that much the tires. And let's be honest, it is a Mercedes, but oh boy, I'm loving this battle as we skip forward into the beginning of lap 28, and Hamilton is going to have another shot of the title as he tries to go around the outside through the first corner. I'm not giving that much room. I'm being really aggressive in this race, and probably this is going to end up in tears if I keep up with this, because Hamilton sooner rather than later is going to get a little bit tired of my aggressiveness. But anyway, most importantly, we remain in third place, and we are now riding with Max Verstappen, and he's already at the back of Valtteri Bottas. So press the button when you're ready, Max. You will be rubbing in his hands to get another win at the Austrian Grand Prix, and this is Sergio Perez, which at the moment finds himself behind Fernando Alonso, and Fernando Alonso being really aggressive finds himself on the harder comparative tire. So Perez was looking really good in the early stages of the race, but now his race pace has basically gone, and he's battling with Alonso, which was in P10 in the early stages of the race. But now Hamilton, third time lucky, but we made contact, and that was what I was talking about. We made contact, and this ended up in tears. We have front wing damage, and we still have 8 laps to go in this Grand Prix, but Hamilton is going to get the position unless I get a good run around the outside. You can see that somehow I find the traction and give a little squeeze to Hamilton. This is getting really hot. This is getting in the danger zone of a massive crash, but we are on the podium, and that's what matters. 15 precious points as Verstappen is still behind Valtteri Bottas, so there's no way that Hamilton is going to win this race because he's losing a lot of time, but gets a good run side by side. We go through the second sector. This is something else. So many battles with Hamilton so far in this mod career mode, but I think this is the best one so far in round 7 at the Red Bull Ring for the Austrian Grand Prix, as Hamilton is with a monster straight line speed, and I'm trying to manage the ERS and the fuel, but things are not looking good at for me, because now to make things even harder, I have front wing damage, and Hamilton finally, 4th time lucky. Is this going to be the successful try? I think it is, and gets up into 4th place. But you know what? I have the RS, and I'm very close to the Mercedes, so Hamilton might have to do the 5th time lucky as we go once again at it, giving a very aggressive squeeze, and we brake at the same time. Round the outside we go. How many times did I say up the inside? Round the outside we go, because there's a lot of action so far in this race, and we are up into 3rd place of this Grand Prix once again, and we still have 7 laps to go as I'm locking up, so I'm starting to feel a little bit tired, where I'm not gonna lie, but you can see that sooner rather than later Ricciardo and Norris might join to the party as I get tons and tons of understeer, and Hamilton gets through, and I think that's pretty much it, and Hamilton gets up into 3rd place, unless I can do a miracle and stay in the DRS zone. It will depend on these final 2 corners. You can see how much crap is stretching. You can see that I'm abusing a little bit of the track limit, so Michael Masi at the moment should be fuming for seeing me exceeding track limits left, right and center, but I'm doing everything in my power to get ahead of Hamilton. You can see that I still have a very good gap to the Brit, and they have a DRS open, and I think this can be once again another chance to take the position. Hamilton going defensive, but I'm going to pull as much to the right as I can. Down inside we go, and once again we are up into the final step of the podium. This is something else. This is incredible. Probably one of the best battles that I've ever had in my F1 career, but now this is for the race lead. Max Verstappen takes the lead of the Austrian Grand Prix, driving for Red Bull. He will do what he did in 2018 and 2019, get a win at Red Bull's home Grand Prix, but now we're going to start lap 32, and look at Ricciardo behind, as now we go side by side with Hamilton. Ricciardo might take the pieces of this battle. It will depend how well we're going to behave in this battling, and actually we get really aggressive with Hamilton, I believe, and gets with some distance, and now so much that it is under pressure from Ricciardo, and Hamilton gets demoted into before Ricciardo gets through, and is up into 4th place. So Ricciardo is in a very good chance to score a podium, and he's giving full beans to Dario 8 engage, and down inside he goes through the penultimate corner. This is amazing stuff. Now we're going side by side with another Mercedes powered car, 3 Mercedes powered cars going at it in the later stages of this Austrian Grand Prix. At the moment Ricciardo finds himself on the podium, but don't eliminate Hamilton from this equation and myself, because everything can happen in this race. As I managed to stay around the side of Ricciardo, we made a little bit of contact. I'm trying to give as less space as I can to Ricciardo, so I'm going to pull a little bit to the right to see if I can defend this position, but I think it was too much. I went on the tire marbles and this is disaster, and I'm going to lose the position to Hamilton, that somehow managed to overtake not just me but Ricciardo as well, and gets up into 3rd place. I tried everything, but going on the tire marbles was the worst thing that I could do, as we skip all the way forward onto lap 36 as Perez gets through, and we got overtaken by Lando Norris. So I forgot to show that, so apologies for that, but it was an easy overtake on the first DRS zone. But my tires, I can tell you already, you can see visually, they are absolutely destroyed, and Perez is smelling my gearbox, but I think it's going to be P6 for us unless I do a mistake on these last 3 corners. Max Verstappen wins, and once again the Austrian Grand Prix, and Hamilton is going to cross the line in P4, which will mean that Ricciardo is going to get a podium in this career mode. But yeah, this race could have been way better.
Take care of the car on the way in.
So another fantastic victory for Red Bull today. So Anthony, what made the difference out there today?
I think a large part of the result comes down to temperament. They were able to keep their heads when everyone around them was losing theirs, and that's allowed them to get the best out of the car, to maximise the strategy and to stay out of trouble.
Red Bull put up an outstanding fight for the front position today, and it's great to see it paid off for them. They do so much for the sport that you can't help but be delighted by today's race win.
What an intense race it was, and there you go, Ricciardo smiling on the podium, very far from Verstappen and Bottas. I don't know why, because at the moment he should be doing the showy. I hope we had a showy in this game, but anyway, there you have it. Confirmation results: Verstappen, Bottas, and then Daniel Ricciardo scoring a podium for McLaren. Lewis Hamilton couldn't manage to keep Ricciardo behind. I wonder if he had front wing damage by battling with myself, and then Lando Norris, myself as Sebastian Vettel, Perez, Alonso, Ocon, and then our teammate Lance Stroll that changed the front wing on the pit stop, managed to score a single point. So great recovery from our teammate, and then Carlos Sainz outside of the points as well for Charles Leclerc. So it's been a nightmare of a season so far for Ferrari, but what a race it was. Maybe I was too aggressive, so apologies for that. Maybe it was too much for me, but anyway, I wanted to score another podium. Gloves are off, but what a championship fight we might have for the first place if Hamilton continues with these performances. But now we're going to take a look at the driver standings. Lewis Hamilton leads away 47 points ahead of Max Verstappen, which overtook us on the standings thanks to that great win in this race. And we find ourselves in P3. We managed to stretch the gap over Esteban Ocon. Bottas still remains in 5th place, 1 point behind Esteban Ocon. Lando Norris, Lance Stroll still struggling a little bit so far in this season. Sergio Perez as well, even more in that Red Bull with just 29 points in 8th place. And then Alonso and Ricciardo closing the top 10. Yuki Tsunoda gets demoted outside of the top 10 thanks to Ricciardo's podium and his match on points with Pierre Gasly. Then Charles Leclerc with just 12 of them, and then Nikitin Mazepin and George Russell and Carlos Sainz with a dreadful season full of bad luck and with just 2 points. He's the last of the point scorers in this season, and then Antonio Giovinazzi, Schumacher, Kimi Räikkönen and Nicola Latifi are the only ones yet to score points. Now let's take a look at the constructor standings. Mercedes in a league of his own, followed by Red Bull, Aston Martin and Alpine. So the battle for the 5th place is hot, but don't forget McLaren that might join the partner sooner rather than later if they continue with these performances in P5 at the moment. Then AlphaTauri now outside of this league, then Ferrari, Haas, Williams and Alfa Romeo is the only team with 0 points. But guys, that has been episode 7 of my F1 2021 mod career mode as Sebastian Vettel. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to smash the like button and subscribe to the channel if you're new. It really motivates me to make more. Make sure to join the family. You're going to have an absolutely banger of a time. But that has been me for today. My name is Tom and I'll see you guys for the next episode at the British Grand Prix at Silverstone. But for now, take care.